Hey, all you cool kittens. Welcome back to Not Your Therapist podcast. I'm Kelly, and I'm obsessed with Tiger King.
Welcome, Kelly. That was great. I love that. I'm also obsessed with Tiger King. My name is Brittany, though. A little different. Wait, what do we think? Do we think that Carol Baskin killed her husband?
100%.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I realize that anytime any of them talk about that scenario, they always have to say, it is in my opinion that I believe that Carol Baskin killed her husband and fed him to the tigers.
Oh, for legal reasons.
Yeah, for legal reasons. And you can tell that they've all been in some sort of legal situation.
Yeah.
Because they all phrase their thoughts or their claims or whatever around it is in my opinion that I believe that this might have happened. they can't just say straight up this is what happened. So I feel scared. I'm maybe I have to start saying it like that too.
No way. Freedom of speech.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it is in my opinion that she definitely did.
Same.
Well, our podcast is not about Tiger King, but we are about some serious issues and, some fun ones about relationships, anxiety, depression, etc. Those are some episodes that we have done already, which you have hopefully listened to. We are not professional therapists, although we would obviously love to be. Our podcast is called Not Your Therapist for that exact reason. There's two of us. Kelly has introduced herself already with that brilliant intro to today's episode. And like I said, I am Brittany. And today we're going to be talking about self-esteem.
Booyah.
So I feel like every single person on this planet at some point has struggled with self-esteem issues. Obviously, it's, caused by so many different things, whether it is just external or if it's internal and just people overthinking things and comparing themselves. I feel like there's some specific things that we could talk about, especially in this episode, through personal experiences, whether it is external or internal. And I feel like, Kelly, you have definitely gone through some things, especially more recently, that I feel like are internal. It's something that is physically happening in your body. And I think we should definitely talk about your journey with PCOS.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with PCOS in 2017. And I do want to say, by no means am I a professional on this subject. I'm just going off of what I've been able to research for myself, what I've been told by professionals, and just kind of going from there based on what I've been going through. I want to touch on what my symptoms are, how I was diagnosed, what I'm doing for treatment. That doesn't mean that it's the only way. It doesn't mean that those are the only symptoms. Yours might be totally different. I've learned a lot about PCOS since then, both medically and just by personal experience. So I wanted to kind of stay away from the medical portion as much as I can for this episode and focus more on why it affects or how it has affected my self-esteem. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is basically a hormonal disorder that causes women to have infrequent periods, essentially, which leads to infertility. It's high levels or increased levels of testosterone, which is the male hormone. So for me, I definitely have irregular periods, crazy.
Same.
So when I got off birth control, I was on it for 10 years and I did get my period for 11 months.
Ugh, that's what I'm actually so scared of because I don't know if I have PCOS. It's totally possible that I do, but I've been on birth control since grade 12 of high school. Yeah, so I guess about 10 years for me as well.
I mean, the cause of PCOS is unknown. It's not curable, which is quite frustrating. Mm-hmm. About 10%, I think, of menstrual age women have it, but there's so many instances where it just goes undiagnosed because the symptoms are very broad in some ways.
Yeah.
And there isn't an actual way to medically confirm that you have PCOS. It's kind of like a combination of a physical exam, blood test, and
maybe ultrasounds or something.
And an ultrasound, because it basically it's just small cysts on your ovaries that are causing your reproductive system to misfunction, basically.
Okay, right.
They're not like painful in the way that you feel them. I've had ovarian cyst bursts before, but I have no idea if it was just a cyst that everybody has, or if they were like part of PCOS.
Okay.
But yeah, so my periods are very irregular. I could go 150 days without one. I can go 40 days. I can go 70, and it's just a shit show most of the time.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it.
Yeah. One of the big ones is weight gain. And you're also more susceptible to diabetes because the way you break down insulin changes with PCOS.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So yeah, that you should stay active for sure.
Yeah. Weight
gain is kind of, well, for me, like inevitable. I've had like hair growth and it's stupid on my, like, I have a mustache, I've got chin hair.
So many girls do though.
So annoying. So now I shave it or wax it or whatever the stupid crap I have to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I think the biggest one in PCOS for me has been lack of ovulation.
Especially during a time like this.
Right. And so what that means is that obviously in order to get pregnant, won't go into how that happens, but you have to ovulate. And when your cycle is really long or your cysts are impeding on the like normal cycle of a woman's body, you don't ovulate.
Right.
What a lot of people can do if they just have a regular period, in general, they can take ovulation tests to see. Mm-hmm. So I thought, oh, cool, great. I can do that. I'll just take a test every day. I don't care, whatever. It's expensive, but you can do it.
Yeah.
But bonus with PCOS, your luteinizing hormone, I think that's how you say it, your LH levels, which detect ovulation, are always high in PCOS, so it's impossible to tell.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
Yeah.
So like you're literally constantly being like, is this real? Is this actually happening? Or is it just like this hormone level that's, telling like a false positive, basically?
Basically, you false positive every single day. You're only supposed to have a peak LH surge for maybe 2 days. Yeah. And people with PCOS have it every day.
So the only way that you would really know that is if you were taking an ovulation test every single day. Because...
No.
No?
No.
Oh my gosh, there's so much here.
Because it's high every day.
No, I mean, like, if you were to take an ovulation test and you noticed that it was high every single day, and maybe you weren't diagnosed with PCOS, that might be, like, an indicator that something is, going on. Just a little misunderstanding. That's fine. Yeah. So obviously, since this is a real physical issue that is happening within your body, how has it affected your relationship with Spencer, considering you're in a time in your life where you're, thinking about like planning to start a family?
In terms of like affecting our relationship, we definitely talk about it a lot because it's obviously a situation that we have to be mindful of, right, as well as like his parents' trouble with getting pregnant. And, my mom had a different diagnosis. She had endometriosis. And so she had a hysterectomy when she was 29.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So that has been a topic of conversation, but we definitely didn't want to rush into having kids just because we thought we couldn't potentially have them. Yeah. So we've just been mindful of that. And he's very good. He's very sensitive to the fact that I get frustrated sometimes, but that I would say that's the only thing. Like, as a male, I think he has like no idea, obviously. Yeah. So he's just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That sucks.
The best he can do is just be understanding. In terms of you speaking about your age, like, has it made you feel like obviously pressure, or do you think like, oh, I'm incapable of doing something that I should be doing? Like, is that something that goes through your mind?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Approaching 30, that was one of the, I think, the biggest things. When I was 20 years old, if you would have told me I wouldn't have kids by the time I'm 30, I would have laughed in your face.
Yeah.
But I tried to recognize that's not because I'm not happy or in a place where I'm wanting to have kids. And it's not because of PCOS. Like, we haven't you know, it's not like we've been trying for 4 years and
Yeah,
nothing's
exactly.
happened. So I just try to take that into consideration, I guess.
Mhm.
It's not at the point yet that I'm so frustrated. I just didn't want to look back and think, oh, I wish we would have tried sooner.
Right. Yeah.
But there's no way to know that either.
Exactly.
Right?
And
So it's like,
there's definitely other factors that could go into like not being able to conceive. Obviously, none of it would be like your fault as a person.
right.
But I think that it's really good that since you and Spencer are married, you're happy and in a position in your lives where like it's a good time to start thinking about that thing, that you're starting now in preparing for that.
And that's
Yeah.
just it in terms of what I'm doing now to prepare my body for that in any way that I can. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Do you ever look at like other people and wish like you had a kid right now?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends have kids, and I actually never thought that I would feel that way. I always pictured myself, even after being diagnosed, getting pregnant on accident.
Oh, interesting.
Not complete accident, but
Yeah.
never pictured myself saying,
Like planning.
I want
for
a
it.
baby.
Right.
Yeah. And now, yeah, I'm definitely like, oh, I could totally do that.
Yeah. But like at least you are in a position in your life where you're like, if it did happen, great. Like that would be
Yeah.
perfect. So it's not like you're just thinking, oh, I have to have a baby because other people are having babies right now.
Nope, definitely not.
I don't know how to phrase my question because I don't want to sound rude in the way that it comes out. Like,
I won't find you rude, but.
okay, cool.
Oh, you're worried that I was going to find you rude?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck no.
Or just like, I don't know, in general. Do you feel like, I'm sure you don't, but this is a thing that people could definitely start thinking of, and that I've heard women feel less of a woman because they couldn't get pregnant at all. So, like, for the women who end up having to adopt, like, these types of things really crush a woman's self-esteem because they're like, I'm not capable of doing something that a woman's body is supposed to do. Do you see yourself getting to that point where like you feel that badly about yourself because like, let's say down the road, not saying it's going to happen, but for whatever reason, like what would your view on not being able to conceive at all be?
That's a very good question. And I guess I should have partly touched on that when I talked about my conversations with Spencer, because we definitely have talked about what if,
right,
and what we're prepared to do if it doesn't happen. And adoption is definitely not off the table. Is it something that I would be ecstatic to do? No.
Yeah.
And I'll be totally honest, my like self-esteem probably since being diagnosed has only really like gone down in terms of, it's just all these things, and you get kind of, it's like a roller coaster. You get like the ovulation thing, for example. I'm like, oh, perfect. And then to find out, oh no, actually you can't really do that because it's always going to be high and it's not a true reading. And it's like, oh, for God's sakes, can I catch a break or no?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's hard, like, because obviously, like I said earlier, none of that is your fault. None of that is anybody's fault who can't conceive because their body isn't, you know, working in the proper way or whatever you might say. But like, do you have advice for anyone going through that who feels like they're failing?
I think I should ask if anyone has advice for me.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when your body isn't doing what it's supposed to do, it's like, it's heartbreaking. You're just like,
It is, yeah.
I stand in the mirror and I'm like, why are you not doing what you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
And my image of myself is not matching up to, like you said, I feel like less of a woman, because as a woman, you're supposed to, well, you're not supposed to reproduce, but it's one of like the great things that our bodies can do. Yeah. And mine's like being an asshole, you know?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Yeah. I'm just like disappointed in what my body is doing or not doing, I guess. For me, it's been a weight issue too. Like, I've gone on diets, I've worked out, you know, however many days a week, been super active. But when your issues are happening on the inside, the reflection doesn't really change. Like, I mean, I did the eating healthy, I did the physical activity. You know, I read all the books, I did all the things, and
Right.
yes, I was losing weight, but I still was looking at myself thinking like, okay, you're still not doing what you're supposed to do. Like that wasn't the goal that I was trying to achieve. Like weight loss wasn't necessarily the goal that I was trying to, I thought it was, but it obviously wasn't.
Do you think like that part of it comes with comparing yourself to other people and like what they do? Like, oh, this person's working out and this person's eating healthy and they look different than I do. Like, is that part comes externally as well?
Yeah, in some ways. I'd say my focus as of lately is more so on
internal.
Yeah, and like I'll look at someone that's pregnant and be like, oh, that's nice.
Aww. Well, I have to say, like, it's so good to see that you are putting in effort to make sure that you're healthy. You're like taking all the right supplements to improve your body's function, I guess. Like, I think it's great that you're doing that because it shows that you're willing to put effort into something that like could be improved with your body instead of just like sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself. Like you do actually put effort into doing something that will hopefully improve like all of the situation with PCOS.
Right. Like the biggest emotion around it is just frustration.
Understandably.
I wouldn't even say I'm angry because there's no treatment for it either. There's so many different, you know, there's, this pill can make you ovulate, but these are the side effects. You can try this, but it might not work for you. And you just have to find, I guess, the combination that works best for you.
Yeah.
And I guess my advice is just to find what you're comfortable with. For me, I'm trying to do like a holistic, natural approach in that I go to acupuncture so that, you know, they can try and regulate my hormones. I take a buttload of supplements that, you know, my practitioners have advised me to take, and you know, and it's worked. I have still been tracking my ovulation and all that kind of stuff, and it's getting better for sure.
You showed me the pictures of like the differences between it. I could see a difference in your ovulation test. Like, it's clear.
I mean, is it normal? No. Like a normal cycle would be like a trajectory up. You peak and then you go back down and then it starts again. Mine is literally like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, like down, up a little bit, and it's just like, and I have to think to myself, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm so irritable. My freaking hormones are seriously insane,
all over the place. But when did you get off? Like, when did you stop taking birth control?
I think it was 2013.
2013. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you haven't had any other type of like hormonal birth control since then?
No.
Or
no.
Okay.
When I first was diagnosed, one of the things that they do as a treatment is put you on birth control.
Oh, interesting.
And that's to see if birth control can actually regulate your hormones again.
Right.
And so I went back on it, I think for a year right after I had my appointment with my OBGYN to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, it regulated it. It was fine. I have no issues when I'm on birth control. Since then, though, nada.
It's a long journey for sure.
I think I just have to embrace the fact that I won't be 120 pounds ever again, but that's okay. Could I be doing more? Maybe. I don't know. But I also don't want to overwhelm myself and make it take over my life.
I think that right there is good advice for people who are going through the same thing.
It's just hard. It's hard not to always think about, like, you know, on day 28 when you're supposed to get your period and there's nothing there, and not be like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, anybody, even when they're trying to get pregnant in a ideal situation, would be feeling that kind of wave of emotions every month.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been doing that just every month in general without even beginning to try to get pregnant. So
right.
It's like, oh, just another
day in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that's still very good advice for anybody struggling with like their own self-esteem. Like, don't beat yourself up with it every time, because obviously, like, you have to accept that it is going to be a journey. Like most women anyways trying to like conceive, it's going to be a journey. It doesn't always happen like the first time you try. For some people it's going to take like years, some people it could just take months, but to accept that, because it's not something that you can force to happen no matter what. And I think that's a good way to think about it.
Just accept it as part of your journey and let the journey be whatever it's going to be. I probably won't be as thin as I was when I was 20, but that's okay. I could probably go to the gym more, sure. Eat a little bit healthier, probably. But I just really like pizza and I like to walk instead of run. But I do have to say, like you said, Instagram and social media definitely doesn't do good things when I'm trying to like feel that way about myself and the changes that to my body that are happening. But if I am feeling that way, then I kind of try to stay away from there.
Yeah.
It's hard, but
especially if you happen to be following people that like you're trying to get to the point that they're at.
Yeah. It's good to have
like a goal, I guess.
Inspiration. Yes. Sometimes it gets to the point that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't."
Yeah, like I cannot look at this anymore. It's like you do definitely start to compare yourself to the people that they have this perfect life on Instagram or any other social media.
So that's a good question for you then. Do you find yourself in your line of work feeling that way a lot?
Part of me really does, because I see like what I have to do with having a YouTube channel and an Instagram account. I'm constantly looking at other things for inspiration. I have to look at what's trending, what people want to see. But when I do that, I'm like, ugh, why can't I be in a place that looks like that? Why can't I dress like that? Then I feel like I need to go buy more clothes. And then I feel like I need to, do something different with my hair to like keep it fresh and look, interesting all the time. But then because I also do that, I also know what happens behind the scenes.
Oh, right. That's a really good point.
Yeah. So like as just someone who likes to look at Instagram and watch YouTube videos all the time, you obviously think this person's life looks like that at every point of the day and every day of the week. But it is hard, but I do have to remind myself that like that is not their actual life that they're showing. Like they're showing snippets of the best parts of their day. Well, like I could use it as an example. A lot of my friends that I've made through YouTube and Instagram talk about how many times they were fighting with their husband, boyfriend when they got a great picture, because usually it's the husband or boyfriend taking the picture or filming for them, and they're like, yeah, we were like fighting so bad, like I cried that day because like we were trying to get the right shot and it wasn't working, and then we're like, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. But then the picture looks fantastic. The Instagram clip or video or YouTube video looks so perfect. Everything's great, but it's all staged. Like, and that's what I have to remind myself of too, because even as someone who does that for a job, I can find myself getting sucked into the idea that like this person's life is perfect and why can't I be like that? And it's really hard because like for someone who does know that there is like a lot that goes on behind the scenes, even if I get sucked into it, then I'm like, I can only imagine how people feel that don't do what I do.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
It's such a weird industry, and it has literally, like, been created to make you feel, well, not like to purposely make you feel that this person's perfect, but it's almost like they have to come across as perfect and able for someone to, like, watch them.
Yeah. It's an absolute false sense of reality that is just, can be so damaging sometimes.
Oh, definitely. It's good because, like, obviously people can get a lot of inspiration from all of these people, even if like their channels are meant to do good and inspire people and be like, hey, I'm super healthy, I'm super fit, like I'm here to show you like how to get your body in shape, how to eat healthy. I have to remember that like they either have like a chef or somebody who has created like meal plans for them. They have appointments going to get their skin, taken care of all the time, and their hair's done constantly, especially if they're like an actress and they're doing a show, like everything is being taken care of for them to keep them looking their best at all times. Without that, I'm sure that they have enough willpower to like keep themselves looking great by like constantly getting their hair done or skin appointments, eating well, going to the gym. But it's so much easier to do that when you have like all these resources to keep that done.
I think a good way to even look at that situation, because I say that all the time. I'm like, if someone got my ass out of bed every day at 7 o'clock, made me healthy food, had a workout ready for me, did my hair, etc. Yeah, I would look better or whatever, different.
Yeah, different.
all the time too. However, that is freaking exhausting.
It is so exhausting. We could all do that. Like I could 100% do that. We all have the capability of making sure we get up early, eat well,
maybe not have a glam squad, but
yeah, exactly. But like,
but I know what you mean.
Yeah, we could be doing that, but it is so exhausting. Like, and that's what it really comes down to. It's like, do you really want to put that effort into it? If you do, great.
Yeah.
If you don't, then
that's okay too.
That's totally okay. But you also have to have some acceptance for where you are, like in your life, how you feel. Like, do you feel healthy? If you don't, then you do have that ability to like start eating better.
To change it, yeah.
To change it, exactly. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this like comparison where they compare, but they also don't really do anything to try to like help themselves.
Amen to that.
Yeah. It's this weird like vicious cycle of, like don't compare yourself to others if you're not happy with yourself, but you're also not trying to like improve on yourself. And that doesn't mean your appearance necessarily. It could mean like your health, getting yourself healthy and strong or whatever.
I think those two words are what is most important, being healthy and strong.
Yeah.
That is going to look different for every single person.
Yeah, every single person.
One of the people that I look at and just admire so much is Lizzo, because she embraces exactly who she is.
Yeah.
And there are people that claim to be these like fit, trim, blah, blah, blah people that could not get on stage and drop it like she does.
Oh my God, no way. There's not a chance.
And it's just a testament to how strong she is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what her health is like, so I can't comment on that, I guess. But she is doing amazing things for herself.
Yeah, she really is. And like, I don't know if she compares herself to others. I mean, like, I'm sure at some point she probably does. But she's also confident in her skin. And I feel like no matter what you look like or what you feel like, the confidence is where it's at. And that's what shows in people. So you could look so different than somebody else, but somebody could inspire to be the more confident person. So like you could have like Lizzo, for example, who like is so confident. She's amazing. And then you have this other girl who's maybe like super skinny and has like perfect makeup all the time. I don't know. But I would rather be someone who feels better about themselves. Like
the 3 things that people should be striving for every day is confidence, health, and strength. Whatever that means for you, as opposed to fit, skinny. It should be those 3 things.
Yeah, I agree. Those are like super healthy building blocks.
Yeah.
For confidence. Just obviously feeling good about yourself. But I feel like there's definitely some things that you can do, because a lot of people are like, where do I start in feeling good about myself? And one thing that I always told people if they were like struggling with their self-esteem is to accept compliments.
Oh, yeah. I'm
so
bad at that. I'm so
bad
at that. Oh my God.
I see it all the time on social media, in person. People get a compliment and they say, "Oh my God, stop, I'm so ugly." Or, "No, I'm not. Don't even say that." And like for some people, maybe they think that it makes them seem like they come across as humble.
Oh, that's such, yes.
Yeah. But there's really nothing wrong with just saying thank you.
You don't have to
exactly,
be like, I know. Oh my God, let's talk about me.
Yeah.
But thank you. That's
like there's a big difference between being self-deprecating and being like arrogant. But there's nothing wrong with just accepting that somebody thinks something really great about you. And I feel like once you're able to start accepting those things and thanking the person, you're on your way to building better confidence.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the questions that I had for you kind of going along with YouTube social media situation is, do you find that there is a lot of competition, or is it generally friendly? I'll go a little bit more in depth with that, because sometimes you see YouTubers or whoever complimenting each other on their page, and sometimes I wonder, is that for aesthetic reasons do you know what I mean? Or
yeah.
And then behind the scenes they're like, oh my god, I hate that, I hate her.
Kind of like Mean Girl style,
Sort of
complimenting somebody, and then they walk away and they're like, ugh, that was the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen. I feel like that probably does happen. I obviously try to surround myself with people that are genuine in this industry. There's a lot of drama, I guess, surrounding bigger influencers on social media.
Okay.
There's going to be fake people everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I haven't really been caught up in any of it. Obviously, like, my channel's not that big. Personally, I don't know people that, like, I would get caught up in something like that with, thankfully.
What kind of drama specifically are you referring to? Or are you just speaking like completely general sense?
General, and there are a lot of specific things that happen in the like social media influencer community. If you do follow YouTube, like they always have these videos where they expose people.
Oh, okay.
So even like people that had been friends in the YouTube community will literally make a video exposing another person that hangs out like in their friend group,
right.
Which I get it to an extent if they're doing something like super wrong and you're like, I can't let this person keep going with everybody thinking they're like a saint.
Isn't that like defamation of character though?
It is 100%. So like I don't see why it's necessary to do that and like expose this person to the public. I would just talk to that person.
Yeah.
It really creates this like toxic community and people thinking it's okay to do that.
See episode 3 on friendships. How to be a good friend.
Exactly.
What the heck?
Don't expose your friends publicly in YouTube videos.
Oh, that sucks.
And then obviously there's a lot of YouTubers out there that won't associate with other people that aren't in their status.
Yes.
If they have like 1 million subscribers and somebody else has like a quarter of that, they're like, well, I can't hang out with you because you don't have... It's like people congregate in that community. Yeah. They might forget about the people that they used to talk to if their channel isn't growing as fast, or they just completely shut other people out. Like that happens a lot too. So then it doesn't help with feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough because my channel's not growing as fast as theirs.
I'm sure it happens the other way too, where you might have a quarter of that and think and feel like, I want to be friends with this person because they have 1 million followers, not, oh, I really like this person, she seems very genuine.
Yeah, exactly. Like it definitely, I've seen it happen. Like it's more about the numbers and where you're at on your channel instead of the actual people. When you see those people only hanging out with certain people, it also shows if you're also in that same industry, you have to act like that too, which isn't right, obviously. And then that starts hurting other people's self-image, I guess. You're only good enough to hang out with me if you have this amount of subscribers. Where like, I don't know, I like to hang out with people based on their personalities. Like I don't really care where you're at in your career. It doesn't matter. And that's like what more people should do, I think, in any type of industry. And that's helping out somebody else's self-esteem. Like, don't judge people based on where they're at in their career. Judge them based on, like, their personality, obviously. That's what we all should be doing.
Yeah. I guess, too, being on YouTube and kind of opening up parts of your life, depending on what your YouTube channel is like, I guess. Or even doing something like this. You know, we're still really new, but for you get comments and stuff on your videos. Have you ever had a bad comment that you've taken to heart?
I've had quite a few, like, randomly mean comments. The only thing that I would take kind of, like, to heart would be the ones about my actual content rather than me personally, I guess, because, like, I do value what people think about my content.
Yeah.
Because...
And they don't know you, so...
Exactly. So, like, thankfully, I've had, like, very, very nice subscribers and people who follow my YouTube channel. But, like, yeah, I would definitely take some to heart that are saying, like, this is boring, or all you do is the same content over and over and over. Those are some that like every channel's gonna get, but it's those types of comments that I would definitely take more to heart.
Those are the ones that you would explore more and be like, oh, okay, thank you. What is it that I can do better?
Exactly. Like in a weird way, I appreciate those comments unless they're totally out of context, I guess. Like, but if it is saying something about my actual content that like I'd rather see this instead of this, then I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad that somebody said that. I like it when they say it in a nice way.
Yeah.
Obviously, but like I take it as like constructive criticism. Some people would like look at the other types of comments a lot more, and then they start thinking like, this person doesn't like the way that I look. And there's a lot of comments like that on social media where they like attack people personally. That is so hard for creators, just to constantly see attacks on them as a person rather than their content. And I feel like that's just like a huge struggle of social media in general, is just like stupid people commenting mean things. Yeah, it's easy to get like down on yourself because of those types of comments. Social media makes it so much easier for people to be mean because they have this like screen to hide behind, and they're like, I could say anything I want, but they don't realize like, or they do realize it's a person, they just don't care. But I'm like, would you say any of that to their face? Like, if you saw them in person, would you say that?
Maybe they would, but those are not the greatest people to be around.
No, those are awful people.
Social media is like the best thing that ever happened to us for content and inspiration and influence, but it's the worst thing that happened to us because of everything that we just talked about.
Exactly. It's so weird. Like, if anybody takes anything from this podcast episode, it's don't be an asshole. Just like be a nice person. I don't know. I feel like it's so easy to like hurt people on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not one of those people, though. Thankfully, I would really hope not. A person's self-image is so easily tainted by what other people say.
We all have to build the strongest exteriors that we can to like fight that off, I guess.
Yeah.
And be, like we said, confident in yourself enough to either brush it off, ignore it, and be able to know your worth.
Yeah, and know that like your worth is not based on what other people say about you.
I do want to say though, if there is anybody listening to this episode and you have PCOS or you think you have PCOS, like I said, I can't take the place of a medical professional, obviously, but I do have knowledge in the area. We probably will do another episode a little more dedicated to, reproductive health and stuff. But if there's any questions you have or any areas that I can help in, please do not hesitate to reach out. Even if I can just be an ear to listen, I am totally down for that.
Yeah, definitely. And that goes for literally anything that you guys want to talk about.
For sure.
Yeah. Feel free, but especially PCOS, Kelly knows a lot. You say like you're not a professional, obviously, but you do know, like you know a lot about it, which I think is admirable in what you're educating yourself on.
Yeah.
And trying to improve it as much as possible. Like, yeah, literally go ask Kelly. She like a hashtag about PCOS. Hashtag ask Kelly. She'll probably have like a lot of information about it. Or even just, the mental part of it.
Yeah.
And emotional. Like, I'm sure you could definitely help with that.
Definitely.
And you have like a website that you could go to about PCOS?
Oh, I'm a part of this kind of community group, and it's called My PCOS Stream. And I believe I think you can do it, set your area to whatever you want, and then you are connected with people in your area. And it's just a forum, like, to ask questions. One of the times, it was the one time I didn't get my period for like 150 days. And I'm like, is anyone else dealing with this long of a cycle? Like, is this something that I should be seeking further stuff about? I know it's variable, but like, just a little bit more information. And I also use it not only for my own questions, but to hear other people's stuff too. And I answer questions. So it's just a good like resource, I guess, for stuff like that. And I think there's probably things like that for everything, but that's kind of where I've connected myself for sure.
Yeah, if you find it helpful, I'm sure other people would find it helpful. We can link it in the description of this podcast.
Yeah, sure. That's a good idea.
Episode. Yeah. And then whoever's interested in it can check it out and hopefully it will help.
Definitely. So before we wrap it up, we definitely have to give credit to Mr. Mixing on Those Beats himself, our producer, our sound technician, and all around good dude, Matt DiPomponio at Echo Plant Recording Studios.
Woo woo! Thank you, Matt.
He went to work making our original music for this podcast that we are so obsessed with. So thank you, Matthew. Shalom, my brother. So usually we end this episode on our therapy for the week, which we will get to, but I kind of had an idea that since this episode was dedicated to self-esteem and making each other feel good, that we would compliment each other on something.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. I love that. Give a compliment, accept a compliment.
Yeah.
I think those are like words to live by in general, and I feel like it's good therapy for everybody.
Yeah. So my compliment to you, Brittany, is that I admire your social skills so much. Oh. Sometimes I just listen to you and talking to other people if we're together, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to be more like that.
Oh, that is so sweet. I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
I've worked on it for my whole life.
I'm just going to go into that because to me, I think like she's probably just born that way. Like she's so natural. I'll probably never be like that. Like, wah, wah, wah. You have worked on it for so long.
I literally have worked on that my whole life.
And so, just be easy on yourself, for goodness sakes. Here I am thinking like, oh, I'll never be like Brittany. But truth is, like, you've done it. You've worked on it. So I could probably work on it too.
Yeah, you definitely could. We could all work on things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people just need to stop thinking that they're incapable of improving themselves. Like, if it's something that you want to change, just work on it. There's literally no harm in trying something new and accepting if you can't do it. It's fine too.
That's important too.
Yeah. Yes. Kelly, I really admire about you that you are a very hard worker. Kelly has been taking it upon herself to edit the last few episodes. Partly out of boredom, but also partly because, like, when you... We're all getting a little bored, during these self-isolation, quarantine times. But, like, you committed so hard to starting this podcast, too. Like, actually, I think about it all the time. I'm just like, wow, Kelly's really, like, committed to this. And when you commit to something, like, you work hard at keeping it going. And, like, you're always texting me, like, hey, do you want to record this week? What do you want to do? Like, look at all the things that I wrote down. Look at all the things that, like, like, you're very prepared. And I'm, like... I like to be prepared, but I don't always prepare. So it's like you have like kept me floating in this.
Aw, thank you.
A lot. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Like I think about it all the time. I'm like, oh man, thank God for Kelly, because like you have like the episodes already like thought about what you want to talk about. I don't know. It's just like as a whole, like you're a very hard worker, and I really admire that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I feel like that I am pretty driven in terms of, and I like to feel accomplished.
Yeah.
But thank you. That's very nice.
You're welcome. I was literally thinking about that. I wrote down like just a couple questions today, and I was like, Kelly has like sheets, papers of like everything written down. I'm like, I need to be more like Kelly.
Oh, that's very sweet. So we should go into our therapy. Mine's actually kind of funny. We went on a drive up on one of the mountains to see Vancouver, like overlooking Vancouver at night.
Oh, that's so nice.
There's something romantic to me about just sitting there and like watching lights or looking at lights, I guess. But apparently the people that were in the car next to us felt the same way because they were having sex.
No way.
Okay. I just have to tell the story because we got there and there was tons of cars. No one was outside of their car. So like we were still social distancing, but
of course
this car was literally in the exact, like the stall right next to us. The entire parking lot is lit up. Okay. Like it's not,
there's no
dark.
hiding.
It's not dark. They got out from the front seat of their car, went into the back seat, and Spencer was like, what what are they doing? And then we look over and they're making out. They're start to take their clothes off. I'm like,
oh,
no way.
Just like didn't even care that you were right
Nope.
next to them.
Full on doing it just beside us.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
It was so, I mean, all for like getting it on, but it was kind of like, okay, thank God I didn't
like,
have
good
like
for
children
you.
with me or something. They'd be like, Mommy, what are they doing?
Yeah, like good for them if that's what they want to do with a car of people right next to them. But like, yeah, if I
Wow.
were you, I'd be like, maybe we should go. Like,
So
let's just leave them to their thing.
Not sure how long it's going to be. No, but
Oh, that's so funny.
So we hopped up and left, but it was a good laugh pretty much the
Yeah.
entire way home.
I bet. I can only imagine. That is so funny. That's some good therapy.
I know.
Humor makes some great therapy, that's for sure. Very entertaining. Mine is like not nearly as entertaining as that. It's still just like working on, house stuff, like seeing things get to be a little bit more finished.
That is so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. And like I was telling Kelly earlier, I was getting very overwhelmed with some of the tedious things that we had to do. But yesterday we had a change of pace and we started working outside instead of inside of the house. And that was so therapeutic. It was so warm. It was sunny. We were staining the deck and started to put siding on the garage. And it's just like that change of pace is what I needed so badly for this week.
A little pick me up.
A little pick me up. It was very needed. So I really appreciated that we have some nice weather and we can actually get outside and do things. Because just being outside in general is like one of my favorite things.
Same.
Just love being outside.
Okay, everyone, that's a wrap on episode 4 of Not Your Therapist podcast. But as always, you can follow us on Instagram at Not Your Therapist, or any questions or information you have you want to write in, you can do so at by emailing us at notyourtherapist@gmail.com.
And make sure there's an S at the end of therapist, because there's 2 of us.
Until next time, everyone.
Sayonara.